little busy with our pre-council meeting, and usually we start right on time. I have several announcements I'd like to make here tonight, and we have a guest I'd like to introduce. I just want to mention this Saturday, there's a number of things going on, including the Dakota Gathering this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, in Unity Park. That's an annual event. Hopefully people will participate in that. And there's also a Purple Heart Monument dedication that'll happen on Saturday morning at Veterans Park at 11 o'clock. And that's an important moment for our community, and hopefully people will show up for that as well. Saturday night, there's an event at our public library at 6:30. It's celebrating the library and its history, and Professor Greg Gout will be there to present some of his research, and I understand William Harris Laird will also be in attendance that night. The donor of the library is coming back to help us celebrate. So plan on attending that fun event. Also, I just want to wish a happy birthday to Dolores Wadul. She's turning 100 years old on the 10th, and I have a certificate I would like to give to her at that time. And also on a really sad note, today we lost a very special citizen of our community. Gavin Quimby, Super Gav, passed away, and I just want to extend our sympathies to his family, his parents, Nick and Shannon, and his sister Allie. Super Gav wasn't here that long, but he certainly had a big impact on our community and touched a lot of people's lives, and it's a sad time, but our thoughts and prayers go out to his family. And on Thursday, the Stanley Cup will be back. That's a fun thing, and I have a proclamation that I'll read tonight that I will present on Thursday. Again, to John McDonough. Whereas John F. McDonough, President and CEO of the Chicago Blackhawks, continues to support and promote his alma mater, St. Mary's University of Minnesota. And whereas John McDonough, as a well-respected leader, has thrice reached the pinnacle of success in professional sports by guiding the Chicago Blackhawks to 3 Stanley Cups in 6 seasons. And whereas John McDonough has once again graciously chosen to share his time and the Stanley Cup with his alma mater, as well as with the greater Winona community, and whereas this second triumphant return brings continued excitement and tremendous visibility to both the university and the city of Winona, and whereas John McDonough's distinguished leadership inspires current and future graduates of St. Mary's University, as well as sports fans everywhere. Now, therefore, I, Mark Peterson, Mayor of the City of Winona, do hereby proclaim Thursday, September 10th, John F. McDonough Day, and I'll look forward to seeing him and the Stanley Cup on Thursday. And with all that, I want to ask our distinguished guest, the Mayor of Goodview, to come up. Steve Baumgart, he has a few things he'd like to tell the Winona City Council.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Mayor Peterson. My name is Steve Baumgart, and I'm here tonight as a representative of one of the Mayo Clinic death investigators. And I'd like to just share an incident that happened. I just want to compliment the Winona Fire Department, Winona Police Department, Winona Area Ambulance. And I'm very gracious that you allowed me the time. And I felt compelled to come rather than write a letter. My wife Mary and I are one of 5 death investigators that respond to any kind of deaths in the county that are unnatural. And there's a little history about myself. I spent 10 years as a Chicago Fire Department paramedic and a fire paramedic. I responded to several technical rescues while I was on the Chicago Fire Department. I'm not here to compare Chicago or Winona. I will just tell you that both are absolutely qualified. The reason I'm here tonight is, unfortunately, on August 27th, down by the barges where they load and unload the barges, a very tragic accident occurred where a young man was killed at his workplace. My wife Mary and I responded, And once we got there, the information, especially with social media now, we had such good cooperation with Sergeant Biddle, Officer Paul Anderson, and Officer Steve Becker. With social media, we had no identification of this young man. And what's happening now is sometimes the next of kin are notified without a formal announcement. And we normally do that, go person to person. So that information that was passed on to us was very vital. So we were able to get Phil Gaddis, who's the police chaplain, and my wife, and also the sheriff went to St. Charles to make notification. So we're very grateful to those three officers. And the reason I'm saying this is that I think the council and a lot of the people, the citizens of Winona, Goodview, surrounding area have no idea what goes on at a scene like this. Once we responded, the first thing that was very evident to me was the scene safety. At that time, there was Captain Lasowski, Captain Lumen, and Captain Kohner. I was harnessed up and tethered to a rope, and I don't have all the firemen's names, but one of them was Mark Veith. All the ropes, and you have to see this, and this says a lot about the city council, the training. You never think you're going to use it. I'd be remiss if I said that I wasn't a little anxious going down there to the scene. That's part of our job descriptions, to go down where the incident took place. While I was getting suited up, Captain Lumen, and I've done this before, but being on this side is a lot of anxiety, very reassuring. Captain Lasowski, when I was descending down, told me exactly where the rungs of the ladder were. Things like this you don't ever hear, and how important they are. Once in the bottom of the barge, Captain Vogan was there, and I will say that the paramedics, and I got their name, was Chris Sorensen and a young man. They all look young to me now, but his name was Tim Nowak. And I wish you could have just seen down there. The young man had expired, but the compassion and the empathy that was related to this young man once he was placed in a Stokes basket. When he was lowered, or when he was transferred up in the Stokes basket, I think it took 15 to 20 minutes. But every time that he moved, one of those firefighters of the EMS, oh, sorry, we're so sorry. Two of the paramedics stayed down there, and one of the things that struck me was that the same age as one of the firefighters that down there, the paramedics. The technical rescue could not have been done in such a professional way if it hadn't been for the training. I want to tell that I called Chief Biddle, and I just wanted to make sure that it was okay with him and not violating any of the HIPAA information. I found out that Captain Vogan back in the 90s, and this was a retired captain that told me that he is the one that kind of took Winona out of the dark ages into this kind of rescue. And I found out Captain Vogan, while he was at this class, was the #1 in the nation completing this class, and of course, being very humble, never said a word. The specialized training, you just never think is going to happen. And I just felt that the utmost respect was given to this young man. The reassurance of the police and fire and the EMS. A lot of times we don't hear that. The only time that you hear a complaint is if there's a complaint. And I really want to thank you, the council, for supporting the fire department, the police department. Communication is such a big factor in our job. And I would tell you that I was a little anxious doing this because I've never done this before. I've probably written a letter. But I just felt that it was the right thing to do, to thank the council and Chief Biddle, the expertise and the professionalism of the firefighters and the captains. It was very evident that day, and if you had just seen all the ropes, I have never been this always up, I was always on top, but to see how everything was coordinated just says a lot about the professionalism of this Winona Fire Department, the EMS, and the police. And I just really thank you for allowing me the time to come here and just to share and just to say thank you. This is an excellent fire department, and again, I am not here to compare Chicago or Winona. Both the departments are exceptional in my opinion. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate you listening.
Thank you, Mayor. City Manager?
Yes, I do have one item I have handed out for the council's information, that those information sessions that we've talked about will be commonly called our pre-council. Just to give the public a kind of heads up on what's coming up. On September 21st, the pre-council will be on the 2016 health insurance program for all city employees. On September 28th is the job classification and compensation study presentation. October 5th, we're looking for an update on the MPCA process on air quality. On October 19th, a new one that has been added, and that would be active shooter training by the police department for the city council, if anything was to happen during the council meeting. And on November 2nd, we're looking for Gilmore Avenue Highway 61 municipal consent discussion. You will notice that there's a number of additional ones. I'm not looking to schedule anything else at the end of the year. We'll wait till we get into the next year. So this gives you an idea of some of the issues coming up in the near future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Roll call?
Mayor Peterson.
Here?
Councilman Thurley.
Here.
Craig.
Here.
Alexander. Here. Iden.
Here.
Borzakowski.
Here.
Double.
Here.
Under the petitions, requests, and communications, the first item, item 3.1, appointments to the Human Rights Commission of Brenda Betcher, Chuck Ripley, Owen Williams, and Jocelyn Paler.
Move to approve that request.
Second.
A motion by Michelle, second by George. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Item 3.2 is an application for liquor license for the High and Low Tap. This is Gina Virak, owner of G. Virak LLC. The license would be effective October 1st, and Ms. Virak is here if you have questions.
Move to approve approval of the transfer of the license.
Second that.
Motion by George, seconded by Pam. Any discussion? George?
Does Ms. Vera want to say anything, or? Okay.
All right, thank you. Guess not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. You got it.
Item 3.3 is a request for sign at Lake Park from the Basilica of St. Stanislaus Kostka for their fall craft fair.
Move to approve that request.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by George. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Item 3.4 is a request to close portion of Ewing Street for cancer benefit on September 12th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Jerry, seconded by Michelle. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Item 3.5 is a request for no parking in front of 965 East Mark Street.
Move to approve that, or to approve the attached ordinance.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by George. Discussion. This is Hal Leonard, correct?
And Windcraft.
And Windcraft, okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Item 3.6 is a request for modifying the municipal state aid street route for Gilmore Avenue.
I'd move to approve the attached resolution.
Second. Motion by Michelle, seconded by Al. Discussion. Pam?
Yes, I have some questions here. So I understand the green line would be the new truck route. So for the time being, it would come right down to that, it's actually cut across by Taco Bell right now, it would, before the new intersection is constructed. And the trucks would swing all the way across the road, all the way across Highway 61 and then turn on the service road. Is that what we have going?
Mayor and Council, this doesn't in fact change anything for the trucks, it's just designation of the state aid system. we have certain streets within town that are designated state aid streets. And this will just change that route so that when they rebuild it, the new construction will be all on the state aid system. So this doesn't really affect anything as it's operating now.
Good.
Good. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. I didn't realize that the state aid streets and the truck route were, thank you.
Any other questions? We'll vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Item 3.7 is a request for the Color Dash 5K to be held on October 11th.
I move to approve that request.
Second?
Motion by Pam, seconded by George. I believe we've done this the last couple of years now. This is the third annual? Second annual? Okay. And there haven't been any problems, so. All right. Any other comments or questions? All right, we'll vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Item 3.8 is a request to close a portion of Wayne Street for a neighborhood block party on September 20th.
Move to approve that request.
Second.
Motion by Al, seconded by Michelle. Any questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Under unfinished business, item 4.1 is a request for no parking on 4th Street and a portion of Huff Street.
I'd move to approve the attached ordinance.
Second.
By Michelle, seconded by Paul. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Under new business, item 5.1 is the 2016 budget and tax levy.
I'd move
Motion
to
to
adopt the
adopt.
proposed 2016 budget, the resolution for the proposed tax levy, and transfer from the transit fund to the equipment fund and facilities fund.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Paul. Any discussion? Al?
Yeah, I have a question on the second page of the agenda item. It says that it's a transfer in 2015 to be the amount available from the transit fund, I guess. Can, Mary, as long as you're here, can you explain that?
Mayor and council, this was actually a recommendation from a retired auditor to better account for the transit's capital needs. For instance, when we purchase buses, right now we're required to pay 20%. And so it would be good to have money set aside so when we need to come up with the city share, we have the money set aside. It's designated for the capital needs. And so the equipment would be a 20% share now. In facilities, whenever we would need to upgrade or improve those, that is, at least as of right now, 100% city share. So it's a better way of accounting for our transit capital needs.
A little more transparent, is that what you're saying?
And the money would be set aside specifically for
designated
capital,
even.
designated for capital. We would move the money there. For instance, in the 2016 budget, we have, I think, $50,000, $50,400 set aside to our city share to replace 2 buses. So that money would be in a different place and then would be brought back over if everything works out with the other federal money coming through as well.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just a comment too, that I know we talked about in the budget session, a really minor area about the Winona Safety Council. And I did get information from our finance director that the Safety Council still is in existence, and the $50 is appropriately designated for that membership.
And I think our city staff, Paul Douglas, chairs that, if I'm
Yes,
not mistaken.
yes, this is according to the information I got.
Okay.
Thank you.
George?
And then the levy, Mary, just for the audience's knowing that what we set tonight, we can lower, but we cannot raise, correct?
Right. You can lower it, but yes, we can't raise it. So whatever you approve tonight will be certified to Winona County, and then and that is due by the end of the month of September. And then that's called proposed budget, and then the final budget will be given to Winona County at the end of December. And so you still have time to lower it, but if you had other ideas of raising it, it would be too late to raise the levy after September. Right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes.
Item 5.2 is the 2016 budget and levy. Announce the date for public comment portion of the regularly scheduled council meeting for December 21st at 6:30 PM.
Move to approve the public hearing date.
Second.
Motion by George, seconded by Michelle. Any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Item 5.3 is the proposed fee ordinances effective for January 1st, 2016.
I'd make a motion to introduce the proposed fee ordinance.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Paul. Any comments? Okay. We'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Item 5.4 is to set the public hearing regarding liquor license fee increases for Monday, October 19th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Pam. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Item 5.5 is the Minnesota Government Access Agreement.
I'd move to approve the attached resolution.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by George. Discussion, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Item 5.6 is the Small Cities Development Program Loan Agreement.
I'd move to order the mayor and clerk to sign the loan documents.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by George, to order the mayor to do.
I'm using the words presented to me.
Get it done.
But yes, I order you, Mark, to do that.
Any questions? George?
Yeah, could Lucy just run us through this?
Sounded funny.
It is funny.
Yes, Mayor and members of council. This is part of the East End Revitalization Small Cities Program funding that we were awarded. We have funds for owner-occupied housing rehabilitation, and $150,000 was targeted toward the Morningside Terrace project, which is approximately a $6 million project. So this is a very small portion of the development of that low and moderate income housing facility. And as in receiving this loan, the developer has to agree that over half of the units will remain at what we call fair market rents, and they'll be rented to low and moderate income people. And for example, a one-bedroom, the rent would be $519, and a two-bedroom, $675.
Any questions for Lucy? All right, any other comments? We'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Item 5.7 is the report on the assessment roll for the 2015 sidewalk project and to set the public hearing for Monday, October 5th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Paul. Any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Item 5.8 is the report on the assessment roll for the 2015 Franklin Street reconstruction project and to set the public hearing for Monday, October 5th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Paul. Any comments? I sure enjoy going over those railroad tracks now. I'm sure everybody does. It's nice. All right, we'll vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Item 7.1 is council concerns.
Start with Michelle.
I need volunteers for the cemetery walk. My contact information is in the newspaper, on the city website. I'm sure that there are other parts of the cemetery walk that are looking for help, but it's a wonderful thing we do in the community, and I'd hate to have it stop because we can't find enough people who want to spend a morning walking through the cemetery. So give me a call, please. That's all I have. Yes, Jerry, would you like to volunteer to guide in this cemetery?
Al's volunteering.
Well, Elle is doing a whole giant presentation of a debacle with the city council. It's going to be fascinating.
All right.
Jerry?
I'll get back with you.
Thank you.
Jerry?
I'll harass you later.
Okay, nothing this evening.
Okay, Al?
A couple of things. I've been contacted by some constituents regarding the, I guess, perennial complaint they have about door-to-door salespeople. And I guess I would ask our clerk to pass along the requirements that door-to-door salespeople are meeting or not meeting. Is that something that they go through your office for their permission to go door-to-door?
They need a peddler permit?
No, in Winona, the requirement is to register. They fill out a form, giving some basic information as to what company they're representing, what dates they will be going door-to-door. There's no fee for it, there's no background check, it's truly more of a registration. When they provide that information, we fax it or email it over to the police department so that they're aware of it as well.
So if constituents, residents have concerns about door-to-door
They can call the police
salespeople,
department.
contact.
Will the individual have that certificate with them?
No,
They're not given anything?
no, it's a registration, not a permit.
Okay.
I know
Some
some-
guy trying to sell me a $40 bottle of soap the other day. I wasn't too interested in
Well,
it.
that was the basis of the constituent complaints that I heard as well. And also, I concur with the mayor on Super Gav, but also wish to extend sympathy, although it happened 3 days after our last council meeting, to the family of Stuart Shaw on his passing. This was on August 19th. He was a reasoned, calm, and persistent advocate for people and our community. That's all I have.
Thank you. Paul?
I would like to invite everybody on Friday, this Friday, at 7 PM at Thompson Hall, as part of the Dakota Gathering, is to hear presenters talk about the doctrine of discovery. The doctrine of discovery in the 15th century is the document which only Christian monarchies became sovereign and encouraged them to vanquish and place in perpetual slavery and servitude any heathens, pagans, and other non-Christian people. And in 1823, the U.S. Supreme Court Justice John Marshall said that because the United States inherited those powers from Great Britain, that the policy was continued as they expanded and took over Native communities' lands and that. Most of the denominations in the last few years have declared the doctrine of discovery and opposed to it. And there will be the head chairwoman of the White Earth Nation will be there at 7 o'clock at Thompson Hall, and as other speakers as well, to talk about it.
Okay, thank you. Pam?
Well, there have been a lot of lively activities down on the levee in the last month or so, and I participated in the Park Rec Department's movie down on the levee. It was a great event, made really innovative use of that area, that slope between the patio and the restaurant. Also, there's going to be a Latin dance on the levee patio this next weekend, and there's a lot of lively activities down there, which is really good to see. I wonder if the mayor would give us an update here soon on the progress of the Levee Park.
Sure.
Levee Park, okay, Levee Park, new plans. Thank you, that's all.
Okay, thank you, George.
Thank you. My granddaughter told me tonight not to mention this, that she got her driver's license today, so I'm not going to mention it, but congratulations to her. April, drive good. Lately in the news, there's been a lot of, bad things and attacks on police departments, police officers, officers shot down, officers assaulted. I would just like to assure the citizens of the city of Winona that our police department from administration down to the force on the street, is very professionally trained in protecting us and serving us. So when you see them out, give them a wave, give them a smile, honk the horn, tell them thank you. Tell these men and women thank you for protecting and serving us 24 hours a day. And they do a hell of a job with it. So let's just tell them thank you and let these officers know that this community stands behind our police department. They do a very, very fine job. Just like to also join in the condolences of the Quimby family on the passing of the young man. Very, 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 very sad occasion for not only the family but for the whole community. And I'd just like to add on a couple more condolences to the family of Rich Kalbrenner. Rich, who was a humanitarian entrepreneur, and he was a pioneer in the telecom business. To his family and to his longtime business partner, Donnie Waltz Jr., condolences on the passing of this very, very, very strong man. And also to join with Al and condolences to the Stewart Shaw family. Stewart was a very, very gentle man. I've served on committees with Stewart, and we've had differences of opinion. We didn't argue. We didn't get into heated discussions. After the meeting was over, we were friends. We walked away, and everything was fine. So to his wife, Kay, and their family, condolences. This gentleman also will be very missed for his contributions to the Winona community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Under the consent agenda, there are 5 items. Approval of the minutes from August 17th, final adoption of an ordinance to change the parking on Franklin Street, an ordinance to establish a 4-way stop at 2nd and Johnson, and a claim against the city by O'Laughlin Plumbing, and a claim against the city by Bradley Bodecker.
I would move approval of the consent business, but would poll item 8.3 for a separate vote.
Second.
Motion by Al, seconded by Michelle. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
I would move to strike and just not allow the establishment of a 4-way stop at 2nd and Johnson.
Second.
A motion to strike by Al and a second by Michelle. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to say that I had asked at our last meeting for information on the number of accidents that have occurred at that intersection, both before and after the bridge. And I understand there has been exactly 1. And I guess I don't see, as I said at the meeting before, a real need for that 4-way stop. If council decides to not vote for this, not vote for this motion, and wishes to install it, fine, then I think we should also look at installing 4-way stop at 2nd and Center Street, since that's used as well, and used on a temporary basis during various events like Steamboat Days. But again, I don't think we need to have this 4-way stop established at 2nd and Johnson.
Michelle?
And I'd agree. After our last meeting, I walked it several times throughout the week, on the weekend, drove it, and I didn't experience any problems as a pedestrian crossing there. And I understand maybe with the bridge project, a temporary sign might be okay, but I agree with Al, I don't see the need for a permanent one there. I think it's actually gonna cause more problems than it'll help, just by how close the other stop sign is and the fact that it's a truck route. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't think putting up stop signs where they're not needed and won't benefit the community is maybe a waste of our resources. So I'm gonna agree with Al on the striking this ordinance.
Well, I'm going to disagree, but for the same reason I stated last time. It's an intersection I use almost daily, and I do experience problems there in trying to make, especially left-hand turns off Johnson onto 2nd Street. The sight lines are troubling, and to take out a parking parking space there wouldn't solve that problem. And I just think it's a congested intersection with more reasons now because of all the things that are going on in that intersection, around that intersection, that it would be helpful to have a four-way stop there, and I'm gonna not vote for this, so. George?
I'm gonna support the four-way stop. It always was a four-way stop. I don't really know the reason why it was taken out, but I know from what I've heard from the community so far, and the feedback is that they're glad to see it happening at that corner with more activity happening there right now.
And I think with the co-op expanding in that location as well, with possible restaurant and a larger venue, would be helpful for them too. So. Other comments? Are we ready to vote?
Could you clarify the vote, please?
The vote is to strike 8.3 from, well, voted, eliminated, I guess, so.
So an affirmative vote is to strike it.
Right. Okay. So are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. I think I heard 3 ayes and 4 noes. So. Is there another motion?
I'll move to approve item 8.3.
I'd second that.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Pam. Further discussion? We'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Split vote, is it a three-way stop now, or completely a four-way?
I think we have a 4-way stop.
Okay.
I guess I'm gonna move we adjourn since George is falling down on his job tonight.
All right, we
I
have a
will
motion to
second that.
adjourn and
I
a
will
second.
second that, 'cause I
All
was
those in
listening to the
favor of
conversation.
adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
I know.
Well, thank you, Jerry.
50